All right, I guess we are. Okay, we are. Let's start recording so you know we're recording. Hello and welcome to In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm James Lott Jr. Here on JLJ Media, my online network. Yes, of over 35 shows, including this one, which we've been doing for several years. I'm very excited. I love books, folks. I guess why I started this thing. I love reading. Reading is fundamental, but it's also fun and it's also interesting. And it's people writing very interesting books. And this book came across my desk. Of course, you hear the title first, and it catches your attention. And I wasn't sure what I was going to read. Then I read, I was like, oh, it's about customer service. It's about customers. It's about all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna break it down into that. It's called the Poop Diaries. So, folks, yes, we're saying the word poop probably many times during this podcast, and it's okay. It's all okay. And I want to introduce. She was in TV and journalism. Now she's doing PR, if I believe correctly. Help me welcome Miss Abby Ross. Hello, Miss Abby.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
So now you're doing PR, the PR side of things now, public relations? Are you doing that?
I'm more marketing now. I did started as a news reporter, then moved to PR, then moved to marketing. Yes.
You're like, I'm tired of front of the camera and all those stuff. I'm going to do all this.
Yeah. Very true. I prefer to be behind the camera for sure.
It's funny. It's funny how you learn that sometimes. You get into something and you learn what feels just comfortable for you, it's natural for you, what you want to do, actually want to do. You're like, yeah, that's fine. I'll go over here. You know, I want to be an actor first. And I was like, I don't want to be an actor anymore. I'll do the other stuff.
Yeah, it is. You have to experience it to know, right? So I just learned I enjoyed writing stories more than presenting them.
Actually, I like that. And boy, did you write? Okay. So this book is called The Poop Diaries, folks. And like I said, there's stories and diaries of situations that have gone on that I've always wondered myself. I also love this. Also, is that moment of reflection. You throughout the book, you talk about what you learned from after the story you tell. I love that. Women and plumbers. You cover all kinds of stuff. So where this book? I mean, it's such an interesting subject and subject type. Where did this come from for you?
Well, inspiration can come from anywhere, including a clogged toilet. And that is exactly what happened to me. It was a Wednesday night, and my toilet clogged. And I needed to have a plumber come over right away and fix it. And so I called this guy, John, and he came over and he was super chatty. He fixed my toilet maybe in 10 minutes. And then he just stood in my kitchen and was talking. And he was so nice. So I didn't want to kick him out. So I just asked him, share your 5 best stories, your most memorable service calls. And his stories were so hilarious. I just couldn't believe that plumbers encounter these types of things. And so I knew right then and there, I need to write a book about you. And that's how it all started. So I interviewed him first. And then after I wrote up his diaries, I was like, I think I have something here. So I set out to find 9 more plumbers across North America, men and women who wanted to get a good mix. And that's how the Poop Diaries came to be.
You did. You did get a good mix. And there's things that I assumed probably they go through, and there are things I didn't know they went through. Like I said, it was as much. I hope people would actually read the book because we'll talk about a couple of stories, but I really like people to read the book. It was about customer service in many ways too, and people keep house, what goes down a drain. I'm not a fan of squirrels. There's a story about a squirrel in there. All stuff. I just think it's very interesting that this is a glimpse into a profession that we just kind of. I have permissions right now. I have a plumber coming to my house later today. Like it's just crazy. That's just something you call on, like electricians, plumbers, and they have a story. They have stories, I'm sure, of this kind of crazy stuff with our plumbing system.
Well, and about humanity in general. I mean, I think this is a book about humanity. It's not about, sure, there are stories about poop, but it's really about how people feel so comfortable around the plumber. And you don't even know the person, yet they see your darkest secrets and your most vulnerable moments. And for some reason, people just completely let down their guards when it comes to plumbers, which I think is very interesting.
You mentioned something in the book too, as a part in there about how there's a story about the plumber and how you treat women while they're working. And yours was nice. John was nice. I was all nice, but I'm saying others where, and I was always wondering about that too. The things that they find in drains, that are female products. Talk about that a little bit, please. I think that's very interesting too.
Well, the way that the male plumbers treat the female plumbers, and like not just all tradespeople. I mean, as a lot of people know, plumbing is a male dominated industry, right? And that's slowly changing. But like in any industry, you know, I work in technology. That's also a male dominated industry. And when things start to change, you still get those people who are just not as welcoming to the idea that women are in their trade. And some feel threatened, right? If they see a fantastic female plumber, like what was shown in the book. It's not everyone. There are definitely a great set. Most plumbers, I would say, treat women with respect these days, but there are some that still make it very challenging. And so, yes, the book covers how they speak to her. I'm talking about Carissa, chapter 2.
Yeah.
And how it's really hard for her to give orders if she's high up the chain, because some of the male plumbers just won't listen to her. And then they say things like, use your big boy voice, right? And so she is encountering an entirely different set of problems than male plumbers encounter on the job. So I do think it added a very interesting perspective to the book. And even on her jobs within themselves, like how she was doing a job and there's literally in a bathroom in a bar, and a guy comes in and, you know, midstream in a urinal, he asks her out on a date, you know, like that's just like, there's just like so much inappropriate things that happen. But you know, I mean,
Yes.
the female plumbers I know, that they're used to it. They know how to mitigate this stuff.
Yeah. I don't know female plumbers. I assume there were. I just never. I don't know any myself personally. I know. So it's good to hear this because there's no gender in fixing something. I mean, it's like something for me to even think about. Like, if someone said the other day, "Oh, you know how to sew? Like, you know how to sew a button?" I go, "I was never taught." My grandfather was a tailor, but a lot of people think sewers are women. There's no real. Doesn't have to be a woman. It may have been a woman who started, you know, doing it mostly. But plumbers, maybe men did start it. But I'm thinking women fix things around the house all the time. There's a lot of single moms. Or back in the day when they were fighting off the war, the Rosie Riveters, the whole thing, where women were shown they can actually do the same jobs. She was like, but for me, I think I'm very well evolved on some level. I didn't know. I really didn't. I never heard of. I've never seen one. Never heard of one, and so it's fun to read the stories. I was so glad you included a female plumber in the book because I just didn't. I didn't even know that.
Thank you. Yeah, I had never encountered one either. So I also found it equally interesting.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, you don't need big balls to change. Change it to crawl under a house and change. Change a pipe or something, or check a faucet. I mean, like it doesn't really. I have a daughter who she puts on Christmas. What Papa Jamie does, he sits there with a drink in his hand while she puts together all the presents for the kids. I can't put nothing together to save my life. So that whole theory of like men put things together, no, anything. My daughter's always been good at reading instructions, and so I was like, just give me a drink. We'll stay up late, but let you, and that's life. So I mean, to me, I love. I really do love that, and representation matters. And in your book, that's a great thing. So just congrats, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. I want to make sure I mention. Great thing. So now, okay, what is of all these stories and stuff? Is there one you're just like, I can't believe this? I mean, you believe it, but like just like this is super, super outrageously crazy. It has to go in the book, obviously. Is there one story like that?
Well, there are a few.
I can probably myself thinking of a couple, but
yeah. If I had to pick, I would say the most surprising one, and I don't really want to give away the ending because I don't, spoil it. Yeah. But the one with Carissa, and she accidentally broke up a marriage.
Yes.
And there are so many directions that story could go in. I'll give one hint. It was based on what she found in a toilet. But I thought that story should have been on TV. I mean, it could be a TV episode. It was so great. So
that's the first one I was thinking of, actually. I was like, that's very interesting. Wait a minute. Okay, Poop Diaries. Was there any pushback by using the word poop in your title?
No, but there wasn't a lot of room for pushback. I mean, my publisher, what's really great about them is that they really let the artist have the most say in those types of decisions. It was a process to even land a publisher. I mean, I had to pitch over 100 publishers and agents because I wasn't quite sure which one to go with. And so I just pitch, fired off emails with query letters, and one publisher said yes. And, you know, that's all it takes. Sometimes if you really want something, it takes one person to say yes. And so I was really happy to land them and very grateful. And then when they were very hands off with the creative process, of course, they did some editing, not of the actual content, but for grammatical reasons. I was very appreciative of that as well. But I have to admit, I kind of question, because the book's been out now since the beginning of the pandemic. I have to admit, I'm questioning if the title was the right one, because I think it's misleading. I think that people, like how you were saying in the introduction, think they're going to have to read about like diarrhea and like gross poop. And like, it's really, yes, those stories exist, but it's not, the majority are not those kinds of stories. But if I called it the Plumber Diaries, which is another option, that kind of sounds very tradey just for plumbers. Right. So I wanted something that was catchy, and at least the Poop Diaries is catchy.
No, I agree with you. And like I said, I wasn't sure what I was going to read, and I read it. I was like, oh, okay. Like I said, it's customer service based. It's my story. I mean, it's people's stories, and that's. But I mean, you see, the Plumber Diaries. Yeah, it's like. I mean, you could try something punny, probably, but you know, and that gets weird too sometimes. You go extra punny in that title. So.
True.
I don't know. You're like a clogged book or something. I don't know. Man, something or something like that. Something off the top of my head. Like that. Being clogged up. No, it's but no, I think it's such interesting. Like I said again, for me, it was mostly about customer service, a glimpse inside of what someone goes through in a session. I call it a session, but like a call. It's a call. And you glimpse because I just don't know. I mean, you call them up, and they come over and take care of them. And I don't know what goes on down there. I mean, they crawl in the house and do. I'm like, I don't want to go in there. Just like fix it. So I just want to fix it. Let me get a glimpse into what they do. I'm like, that's kind of very interesting. I mean, did you find any commonalities to all the plumbers you talked to at all? Was there any commonalities you found?
I found that they all loved their jobs. I mean, none of them had regrets. And it was really interesting because the beginning, as you know, of each chapter goes into why the plumber chose to be a plumber. And all of their stories were different. You know, some went to college for it, to a trade school. Others kind of tripped and fell into it. Others were extremely desperate for money. And somebody said, hey, you know, there's an apprenticeship you could do. And so their stories ran the gamut, but they all love what they do. They all love working for themselves. They all love that they're not behind a desk. They love being out in the field. And definitely no regrets. And the majority, I should say, are also very successful. Plumbing is a very lucrative field. It's so funny. People think that plumbing, and that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. People think plumbing is like this, you know, you can't make a lot of money, you're uneducated. It just has a bad stigma. And it's the opposite. I mean, a lot of my plumbers own booming businesses. They have boats, they have 2 homes, you know, they have everything. And I think that is a misconception that needs to be cleared up.
I agree. No, I know some plumbers, obviously, and they're very successful. Plumbers, the trash collectors, what they call all those, they always like they do. I'm like, yeah, they're dirty jobs, but you really can make a lot of money. And it's one of those jobs that's evergreen. You'll always need a plumber. I mean,
Right.
House, apartment, building, no matter what it is, there's sewage system everywhere, there's plumbing pipes everywhere. You'll always need a plumber. And if you're a good plumber, you'll be working forever because you just want to call the person you know, right? You said you need somebody to come out right now, like, you know, you come out. Usually plumbing jobs are emergency jobs or like very present jobs. They're right, they need to be within done now. So you need somebody, if they show up and do a great job, great attitude, and fix it, you're indebted to them. Like you literally are indebted to them.
And a lot of customers pass you on to generations, right? Like I had a plumber who they've been with the same family for years. I mean, it's like a housekeeper. And so it's steady work in bad economic times. It's steady work in the pandemic. It's steady work. I mean, plumbing is always going to be needed. If anything, the world needs more plumbers. If you look outside of our country, so it's a trade that I really think more people should look into. And it's not all unclogging toilets. But most of it's engineering. I mean, it's solving problems, and it's really understanding the inner workings of various systems and how to fix them.
Very true. I mean, it's plumbers, electricians, mechanics. I was looking at them. They're mini surgeons of sorts, of a different type. I look at them and go, how do you look at something, just know what it is? Like, you know what it is. You test a few things, or yeah, this pipe over here needs to be this pipe, this and this screw over here. Like, it's me, like, how do you know that? I love that. I just love that they can come in and solve a problem. That's an everyday thing we use. But I'm like, I have no clue I could try, I guess, but I'm like, I just think I'd rather rely on somebody who knows what they're doing. It's a amazing profession.
Yeah, I agree.
It's amazing. Could you be a plumber?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think I'm smart enough to be a plumber. My brain is more on the writing, creative side of the house, and business side of the house, managing teams. It's not in engineering. It's definitely not in science or math. So I actually don't think I could be a plumber, although I also am under the belief that, I can learn anything. So if I went to a trade school and went through the proper education course, yeah, sure, then I could become a plumber, but I can't just like pick it up tomorrow. No.
So on this show also, we talk about the process. Okay, so this is your first book.
Yes.
So what was your process? You decided you start your plumber. I wonder, but what was your first steps? Or what were my English? What were your first steps?
Well, when I started writing, I finished John's chapters, and then I found 2 more plumbers. So I wrote about half the book. And at that point I was like, what, maybe I have something here. What do I do? How can I make this bigger? And I found this website called the Preservation Foundation, where it's nonprofit. You don't pay anything, but if they like what you're writing, then they'll publish it. And so I submitted it there, and the editor was just overjoyed. I mean, his reaction was so positive that it gave me the confidence in knowing that I had something good. And he did publish like a snippet of it. So from there, I was like, okay, now I know I have something. So then I literally Google searched how to get a book published.
Oh, wow.
And, I learned about query letters, and I learned about literary agents. One person gave me I talked to a couple people, and one person gave me a very good piece of advice, which was pick your genre, find a book that's in your genre, look on the inside cover and see who published it, and then pitch those publishers. And I thought that was a great approach. So I did do that too. And then, I'm a writer by nature, so writing and pitching wasn't hard. I believed in my book from the get-go. And so I just shot out over 100 emails with query letters. I got tons of rejection, and then I got that one yes. And I also got some other positive responses too from agents. But once you sign the publishing contract, it's done. So I couldn't pursue those.
That's very cool. Okay, you like who see Google, folks? Google's good for everything. You just it does come in handy. It does come in handy. Since you are a writer, do you have a routine when it comes to writing a project, or is it just whatever, or is it all over the place when you write?
No, I actually do. I'm a big interviewer. I guess that's because of my journalism background. So I interview even for I work in cybersecurity marketing. So whenever I write even anything for that, I spend a lot of time interviewing subject matter experts, and I take copious notes. I'm a very fast typer. And then I have to, this is probably terrible for trees, but I have to print out my notes. I need like a physical copy of my notes next to me when I write. And so then I base my writing off of those notes. And then once I'm done, I'm a fanatic about grammar. So I like to give a close review and edit. And yeah, that's basically it.
I have another show that I do for insurance, and we're talking about ransomware, speaking of cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah. Know that well, yes.
You do. So when you said, I was like, I know about that stuff. That was very cool. No, I'm bad also. I do have papers. I print. I'm a visual person. So I have little notes. But I have to see it in front of me. to gather it together. For some reason, that's just how I've always been. And so I can understand that. Like, sorry, trees too. I'm sorry. I love trees and plants. I have all over my house. But I do also print things out sometimes and like to look at it and then go from there and work off of it and go from there. So I understand.
Yeah, you and I are speaking the same language because like this is like post-it notes.
Yeah.
These are notes that I plan on using for writing at some point this week. Like it's like my whole desk is like papers and
Oh, same here.
Awesome.
I mean, I got all kind of goodies. They all mean something. And things onto my computer, my iMac. I have things up here too. Little reminders. But I like writing it. I like physically writing it down. And I'm old school. I learned how to type on a typewriter in high school, that kind of thing. I'm used to write. I write. I always get good pens. I write things down. But I also type things. I use my phone. I have other things. I do some modern stuff too, but I'm a writer. I like to write stuff down and then look at it and then go and then work off of it from there. That's how I do. I like checking things off and crossing things out.
Yes, me too. That's the best feeling.
Well, do you miss journalism at all or no?
Do I miss what?
Journalism and all that.
No. I enjoyed it. I did it in my 20s for 6 years. I have the utmost respect for journalists. It is such a hard profession. I mean, you literally give up your entire life for that profession. And in the beginning, you don't make a lot of money. So like the reward from a financial perspective is not that great.
Right.
And I just think it's the hardest job to do. And it's a very important job to do. But I don't miss it at all. I think I was meant to be in cybersecurity marketing and to write books. I love what I do for a living. So
I love that. Is going to be a part 2 or another profession, or like, have you thought about what's going to be next?
Well, I've tossed around some ideas. I do have an idea for a sequel. It's a matter of time, I think. I'm a mom. I'm a certified fitness instructor, and I have a full-time job, and I work out religiously just as a hobby. So writing a book, it takes a lot of time. So I just have to find that window again when I have my nights free, because I would write at night when the kids are in bed. Yeah. So.
Well, with you, I believe it. You could do it. I know you could. So
yeah.
Really done. This book is fun. It's called The Poop Diaries. Where can folks actually get the book?
It's on Amazon. It's a bestseller. It's on Barnes & Noble as well, online. So I suggest going to one of those places.
Yeah. And if they want to talk to you or find out more about you, where can they find you?
I'm on all the social media platforms except for TikTok. I haven't joined TikTok yet because I don't
get on there.
I don't know, being on camera, I prefer to just write. But I'm on Twitter at oddest2. I'm on Facebook. The Poop Diaries has its own page on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually my favorite social channel. Just Abby Ross on LinkedIn. So yes.
Actually, I looked on it. There's a lot of Abby Rosses. Which one are you?
On just in general or on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I looked for you today, and I was like, there's a bunch of them.
There are? Well, it should. I think my title is Seasoned Marketing and Communications Leader is my title. I can send you the link after.
I'll find a link to it if I post it. I want to post it in the
yeah.
I love LinkedIn. I now know how to use it, kind of. The last couple years I know how to use it. Everybody's on there now, folks. I'm telling you, LinkedIn is a hot spot. It really is. It really is for business and for connection. Thank you for being on the show. And congratulations on the book. And I want to hear the sequel when it comes out. I will come back on the show again. I'll read. I want to see it.
Here's the cover. I really want it to become a television series, to be honest. Like that's also another reason I haven't written a second one, because I want to take this one as far as I can take it. And I believe in it. And I think it would be such a fantastic, like, you remember the old school show Taxi? Yes. Like, with that kind of format, but at a plumber's office with a little bit of Three's Company in there for the character. And I picture it being that kind of series, and maybe featuring like either all women plumbers, because that would be really interesting.
That would be.
Or like 9, majority women, right? And one guy or something.
I love that.
So I'm really like, that's my next route, is trying to figure out how to do that.
Okay, she said out loud, I'll keep my ears to the ground too. I'm out here in Hollywood. You never know, I may hear something. Ear to the ground. I love that idea. I know I love it. I think it's a great idea. Oh my God. I'd totally watch it. Make it hilarious, but also have hearts in it and all kinds of, oh yeah, you can totally do something like that. Oh yeah, easily.
Yes.
Profession we don't see. We don't even see it on TV. So I
I
mean, not
and there's a whole network of people in the trades who would love a show like that.
yeah.
So
Sure. Oh my God, that's a good idea. I love that. Of course, so get her book, The Poop Diaries. Go to Amazon, go to Barnes Noble, go where all you find your books. They're all there. And of course, here I'm James Lott Jr. here on JLJ Media. Like the little subscribe button down there, or if you find listening to us, hello podcast listener, hit that follow button and share this with anybody you think needs to hear this. Or maybe you can give her a series. Share it with those people, producers in Hollywood. Say it to them. And other plumbers. Oh, other plumbers. Actually, I'm gonna share this book with my plumber. Actually, I'm gonna share this. Say, hey, you should read this. What do you think? But I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me. We're all James Lott Jr. sold at James Lott Jr. and also media platforms. And I am on TikTok actually. I'm a TikTok star. I don't know how that happened. I'm too old, but I'm on there. I'm working it out. I just posted a new TikTok today. The question is, I'm gonna ask Abby this to go out. The question is, how long do you say Happy New Year?
oh,
That's my question.
the end of the first week, only into the first week of January. Then it's done.
I and see, and the folks say that. I said you can go into most of January and that's it. But I have folks who said no, the first week and that's it, you're done. So I like that. That's her answer. That's on my TikToks. Go over there and answer it for me and see who's the answer. But anyway, please be careful out there. Treat your plumbers nice. Make sure you get the right plumber. I mean, you have the right to ask questions, vet them, make sure they're good. Because the right plumber